Hey, how's it going?
Welcome back to Invisible to the Ice podcast. My name's Roselli.
And I'm Brandon.
Today's episode is the Ouija board and other paranormal equipment.
Ooh, the Ouija board?
Yeah, I thought that it would be something that our viewers, listeners would enjoy. I like all of the occult, and of course I love our Halloween series, which was I think the last time that we recorded an episode, and so I just wanted to come right back and jump right into things. So kind of following a little bit of that trend as well with the paranormal stuff.
I'll be honest, I've never played a Ouija board before.
I have a few times, but of course we're gonna dive into that in a little bit. I do want to say thank you guys for sticking with us, and hopefully we will continue to be on a more regular schedule from now on. We did have quite a long break, didn't we?
We did. Just a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on around the world, so yeah, we just wanted to come right back on, and let's jump right into what we found out about the Ouija board. I would like to start off with a story. This story is the very first time that I ever encountered a Ouija board. Prior to this, I don't think I ever even knew what a Ouija board was. Did I ever tell you?
No, I never heard the story.
Well, you're going to be one to hear it now, along with everybody else.
Awesome.
So, I know that we've talked about how I was born and raised in Mexico City. Up until the age of about 10 years old is when we moved to the United States. However, a lot of my family members live outside of Mexico City too. And in fact, my grandpa actually owns a property outside of Mexico City. And this story takes place at this property. Back then, when I was a kid, we didn't usually travel to my grandpa's property very often. It was always during the time of like the holidays, or usually if somebody passed away, they would have the vigil. I think it's what it's called. I'm not too familiar with it because I don't really follow that same tradition anymore, but so I don't really know what the rules are or what it is or whatnot. But I do remember that there was a lot of funerals that were held at this house, and so that they would do the prayers, and they would have people over from the whole entire town. Not saying much because this town is, it's very small. I just remember it being really cold over there every time I went. And also, I remember this house very vividly because I have dreams about this house very often.
Really?
Yeah, and not scary dreams or anything like that, but it was just a very different house than what you would find in the United States, I think.
Or how so?
Well, because a lot of the houses in Mexico have courtyards, or just even a lot of outdoor areas. So for example, the kitchen might be in one room, but to get to the living room, you have to go outside.
Oh.
It's not connected.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's like that a lot in a lot of places that I went to in Mexico. So
that sounds a lot different than it is here.
I don't think that you could find a house like that here.
I definitely haven't.
And another particular thing that makes this house very unique is the fact that it's kind of two properties together. I guess it's maybe at one point that whole lot was one, and then they made two houses, and there's not really a fence in between. Oh. I remember it having a strip of some form of garden or something. But it's not like a hedge or anything that you couldn't just like step over and go into the other property.
Yeah.
And I do know that the house next to it, the one that was kind of connected, I know that that was also my grandpa's relatives that lived over there.
Oh, gotcha.
So it's not like they were strangers, right? I mean, I guess maybe they were strangers to me. I didn't really ever like interact too much with them. And like I said, we didn't really go there too often.
Yeah.
So, this story takes place in this house, and in particular, it takes place like in the staircase, which, the house had an upstairs and a downstairs, but the staircase was outside.
Yeah.
So at the top of the stairs, there was like this, I guess, like this area to right before you go into the rooms upstairs that, you had this area at the top of the stairs. And that is where, the kids were playing. And I didn't know anybody there. I don't know if I was related to them. I don't know who the kids were or anything. I just know that I was like one of the younger ones.
Did they pay you any attention?
No, of course not.
Oh.
Like older kids don't really like little kids, right? I was 5 or 6 years old. My brother was younger, so my brother was with my mom, of course. And I was just kind of like trying to explore and trying to like meet new kids and play with the older kids. But yeah, they didn't want anything to do with me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. I think everybody has to go through that, right?
Yeah, I definitely went through that as well.
Yeah. So I just know that they wanted to play this game. And I was like, oh, a board game? Yes, I'm all in. I want to play this game. And I mentioned, right, that this was like a vigil for somebody that passed away.
Oh, it was?
Yeah. My parents were downstairs. I think they were helping prep food or something, right? And yeah, the kids were just playing like at the top of the stairs.
Were they playing what I think they were playing?
Yes, they were playing the Ouija board.
That's really creepy considering it was a vigil.
Now that I think about it, absolutely. Yes. No wonder they didn't want me to be there.
Didn't want you to get scared?
I don't think they wanted anybody to find out what they were doing.
Oh.
They just told the adults that they were going to go play a board game. They didn't tell them which board game.
Sneaky.
And then you have this little 5-year-old me, like, trying to play this board game that's not really something that I should be playing, according to the adults.
Probably not.
So, we get to the top of the stairs, right? And they tell me to go away because they're going to play this game and I'm going to get scared and I'm going to go and tell on them and get them in trouble. So, I was just like trying to do my best to convince them, like, no, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to say anything. I just want to see what you guys are doing. I'm not going to play. I'll stand back and watch, and that's it, right? I didn't want to be with the adults doing boring stuff.
Yeah, they usually are.
So, they let me sit up there. And they're like, okay, just stay back. And they formed a circle around the board. I couldn't really see anything. And, they started asking questions like, can you hear us? And, like, what's your name? I think they asked. And I don't know if they really got a response because I know that when they said, like, is anybody out there? I know that they said that somebody was listening. And I didn't really understand what they were talking about. Like I said, I remember very few details of this, but I'm doing my best. I hope I'm doing an okay job at retelling this memory of mine.
I think you're doing great.
Thanks. So, yeah, they asked it, what its name was. Because I don't know if it was like a female or a male or I don't know. But it didn't give them a response. It just, I guess pointed at me.
Oh, that's creepy. No.
And they turned around and they said, I don't think it wants you here.
Oh, that's messed up.
Yeah, so at that time, I just thought, okay, these kids really just don't want me to be here. They don't want me to play whatever board game. They don't even want me to look. And I think that's why they were saying, like, it doesn't want you here. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, who are you guys talking to? Who are you asking questions to? There's nobody else here. And so they're like, just be quiet, sit still. And then all of a sudden, I felt something tap my head.
What happened?
It just tapped my head. Like, it just almost like pulled on my hair. And I looked up and around and there was nobody there. I was sitting at the top of this staircase outside and it was pretty cold. And yeah, something just tapped my head.
Oh, that's creepy.
And I got really scared. I thought that one of the kids was behind me, but there's no way that somebody was behind me. I was sitting right up against like the edge of the staircase. There was nobody behind me.
Yeah.
The only thing behind me was the neighbor's yard. And keep in mind, we're on the second floor. So there's absolutely no way that somebody is out in the neighbor's yard reaching over. They had to have a ladder or something. I looked out there and there was nobody there.
Oh, no.
So I was really scared. And then, I just like left and they kept playing. I never told anybody. Like, I didn't tell my mom, like, there was kids out there playing with the Ouija board. I don't even think it dawned on me that is what they were playing.
Yeah.
Up until later on when I found out, like, yeah, it was the Ouija board. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that must have been quite an experience.
Yeah, it was. And, well, I'll tell you a little bit more about how I discovered that that's what they were playing. At the time of the story that I mentioned, the game that the older kids were playing just definitely reminded me of something else. And that is that other game that you ask questions to it, the 8-ball.
The Magic 8-ball?
Yes. That's what I thought they were playing, kind of. I knew it was a different format because, it's a wooden board with letters on it. I didn't really catch too much of a glimpse of it, but I do know that they were all holding on to something. You've seen a Ouija board before?
I've seen it, but I've never played with one.
Oh, okay. So, traditionally they're made out of like wood and it has the semicircle. In a semicircle, it has the letters of the alphabet and then also the numbers. So 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9. And then it also says yes and no. And of course, it's very important to have a goodbye right there too, because when you play it, you're not supposed to like end the game without saying goodbye.
Well, I mean, they just want to make sure you're being polite.
I don't think it's because of that, but yeah, you bring up a good point. Yeah, you got to say goodbye.
You don't want to upset them.
But I guess people just think that if you don't say goodbye, that you're opening up this other realm and you're inviting like spirits into your place or whatever. You're also not supposed to be playing it in your house, but just one of the many unwritten rules of the Ouija board.
I wonder why that is.
I guess because you don't want to bring evil entities into your house.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, they could be friendly.
Yeah, but you never know, right?
That's true.
So the start of the Ouija board actually is what intrigued me the most. And this was where our research kind of led us to finding out a little bit more about like what it was meant to be. Because I know when we hear the term Ouija board, a lot of people just tend to associate it with the paranormal and with spirits and with, creepy things happening, kind of like in my story.
Yeah.
Right? It's what you expect. But of course, I'm not satisfied with what we expect, and I have to go digging for more information.
Of course.
So I found out that the Ouija board was first marketed in the 19th century, and the first advertisements for the Ouija board actually came in like the newspapers.
Really? And it was that old?
Yeah.
Wow.
And even prior to that, like just thinking about communicating with spirits, that whole aspect of the Ouija board we find in even ancient China. So way before the first Ouija board was made. So that whole idea or that whole concept is nothing new. I couldn't really pinpoint who came up with that in the first place. It was just something that I guess humans have been intrigued by for a really long time. Actually, the first advertisement that I could find was in February of 1891.
Whoa.
And a very interesting fact that I found out about the Ouija board is that at one point it outsold Monopoly.
Really?
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Isn't that interesting to think about?
Yeah, Monopoly is extremely popular. Mm-hmm. Wow. Just a board that you talk to spirits with is... Wow.
Well, at first it wasn't really made to talk to spirits per se. It was, kind of like what I said about the magic 8-ball, where, you just ask it questions and it's supposed to
give you an answer.
Yeah, help you out with a lot of things. It was very common for people to have them. And of course, as simple as it is, it was very easy for people to make them themselves. I mean, all you needed was a piece of paper, to write down the letters of the alphabet and the numbers and, everything we talked about. And then, of course, the very important piece, which is the planchette. And that is like a teardrop shape part of the Ouija board. And that's what tells you which letters are being chosen or
that's the thing. That's the thing that's moved around the board.
Yes, so that's the thing that you have to put your hand on it, and whoever's playing has to keep their hand on it and not move it, and just ask questions, and it's supposed to guide you to the answers. So instead of having the planchette, if you were making one at home, you could just use common objects like a glass or. Like
a shot glass or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's pretty clever.
Yeah, so a lot of people had them. It was very common to just, say hey, let's play with the Ouija board today. Just like any other board game. Just like I thought as a kid. And I thought that it was also very interesting that the patent is owned by Hasbro.
The toy company?
Yep.
Wow, I actually had no idea.
Yeah, and you can find it everywhere.
You can go to just any store and just find it. Wow, I did not know Hasbro owned that.
Mm-hmm. And so next time we're at Target, we can look for a Ouija board if you like.
That sounds good. I want to talk to spirits.
I also thought that it was extremely important for us to take a look at what was going on during that time period when the first Ouija board was marketed. And, well, what I found out was that there was this movement around that time, and it was called the spiritualistic movement. This is basically when a lot of people in American history started believing a lot more in the ability of communicating with spirits, or in the existence of spirits in the first place.
So they believe that they could talk to spirits?
Mm-hmm. That there were spirits, and because there were spirits, that there would be any means of being able to communicate with them. I wanted to also focus a little bit on 3 particular spiritualists whose names are Maggie, Kate, and Leah, and their last name is Fox. So they are more commonly known as the Fox sisters. So let's jump into that part of the episode. In 1848, Maggie and Kate were telling a story to their neighbor about how, in the middle of the night, they could hear tapping sounds. And of course, as little kids, they were very scared. And so they told the neighbors that, and they also told their parents that. And the neighbor ended up coming over to their house, and they were able to tell the spirit to tap a certain number of times to indicate that it was like listening or whatever. And then, when they increased the number of tapping sounds to prove their point to the neighbor. Like, look, we're going to ask it to tap like 5 times, and then it did.
That must have frightened the parents quite a bit.
That poor neighbor.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, of course, this was alarming, and they actually ended up seeking help from their older sister, who just so happened to be a medium.
Oh, boy.
Do you see where the story's going already?
I think I might.
Well, it ended up being that, yes, the sister ended up driving the spirits out successfully. And they became really popular.
Like, they just went around, helping people and to talk to their loved ones and stuff like that.
Yes. Also, if we look at what's going on in the time as well, there was war going on. And with war comes a lot of family members who go missing.
Oh, no.
And so, it makes people more vulnerable, I think. And I think it's because not knowing what happened to your family member just must be so difficult. And just that little bit of hope to be able to talk to them and find out if they're doing okay or if they actually pass. Like, not knowing it is more difficult than actually knowing that you lost somebody in the war, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I had a chance to be able to talk to one of my loved ones that might have gone off in the war, I would love the chance to do that.
I don't know how I would react, but I definitely do understand that it is a very difficult thing to go through for a lot of people. And unfortunately, there are those who like to take advantage of vulnerability. And of course, this is the case of the Fox sisters.
Yeah, you think they're such nice people going around helping everybody, oh, you get to talk to your loved ones, but wasn't true. It turns out Maggie came out and basically said it was all fake. Like all the noises that they made, they would do it with by cracking their fingers or their toes or tapping a chair or something like that.
Oh no.
So they were just messing with people. They were making money off of people's pain.
I just can't imagine doing that to someone who's already going through a hard time. Taking advantage of them to, just enrich yourself. And yeah, like you said, just completely profiting off of somebody's pain.
I would be honestly absolutely devastated if I found out, someone I trusted to, help me talk to the person that I care about lied to me and took my money.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Well, it's okay. They got their own. Spiritualists actually pressured Maggie into taking it back. Basically saying, hey, I was just kidding. It's not fake. It's actually real. I actually meant it.
Wait. So Maggie ended up coming out and saying that it was all fake and admitting to what they were doing. And then spiritualists, so like people that believed in that movement, right?
Yeah.
They came out and were like, no, like you're hurting our business. You need to take it back.
Yeah, exactly. So she came out and basically was like, I was just kidding. It's real. Like I can actually talk to spirits. And because she lied and because she got found out, she lost her credibility, and her sisters ended up going into poverty.
I mean, where did she think that her credibility would end up when you say one thing and then go back on it and say, wait, no, I was just kidding?
Yeah, you lied twice.
Yeah.
I don't know what she expected from this.
Well, I think she just got pressured with all the backlash she got for being honest.
And yeah, she was hurting other people's business. So I mean, I can see why they were upset and why they tried to make her take it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely understand that too, because when you have a huge following like the Fox sisters did, and then you come out and you say, no, we were just playing it up and it's not real, you're discrediting all those people that believe in the ability to communicate with spirits, or even in the existence of spirits in the first place.
Yeah, and part of me finds it really impressive that they're able to make those sounds, make the sounds that the spirits are making with their, by cracking their fingers on command. That's got to be tough. But at the same time, it's like, how dare you just step on other people's feelings? Yeah.
Well, that's, that definitely was unfortunate for that. For the people who actually, believe in all of that, it must have been hard to hear somebody just not taking it serious.
Yeah.
Not having that respect for those who do believe in spiritualism and in the ability to communicate with their lost loved ones.
Just the most disrespectful thing you could possibly do.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So yeah, that's another thing that kind of tied into the Ouija board, and that's because, the Ouija board wasn't really marketed as a means to communicate with spirits in the first place, but people ended up taking it that way. So I think it's really interesting to look at this case of the Fox sisters and see how people can take advantage of others when they are at their most vulnerable state.
Yeah, because you can definitely do that with the Ouija board as well.
Yeah, and I think if you're a medium and, you're not really a medium and you're trying to take advantage of someone, I think that the Ouija board would be a great way to make a profit, because you could just, have it say whatever you want and make it seem more legit. I think it'd be really easy to fool people that way. Now we're gonna jump to more modern times and talk about something that happened in 1973. And this is a very exciting part of the episode for me because I get to talk about one of my absolute all-time favorite movies.
Oh, I think I know what you're going for.
Do you?
Yep, I do.
What is it?
The Exorcist?
Yes, of course. I would ask how you know, but I think it's kind of obvious.
Of course.
It is not only a movie that revolutionized the horror genre, but it also played a major role in changing the perspective of the Ouija board. I do want to say that I love that movie for many, many reasons, and one of them being the makeup that was done on Reagan, the main character. As you can tell from our last episode where I turned myself into Freddy Krueger.
And me into Jason Voorhees.
Yes, if you haven't seen that episode, definitely check it out. Why haven't you seen it? You've had only a few months.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
So anyway, with the Ouija board, how does this play a part in our episode? It's basically, the movie is about a girl who becomes possessed by a demonic entity. And this is right after she plays the Ouija board.
Oh, boy. Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
So people were just not used to seeing anything like The Exorcist in the big screen, right? They were not expecting any of that to show, any of the, pea soup.
That pea soup part was extremely creepy.
Excellent. So, yes, people were running out of the theaters petrified. Not only that, but they were so disgusted that they would just run out and have to throw up.
Wow, it was really that bad back then?
Yeah, well, I think it's just now you're used to seeing it in all sorts of movies, right?
Because there's just so many horror movies now that are a lot worse.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got Saw, you've got
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, all of that. But in 1973, people were just not used to seeing that type of movie. And it was so bad that in some areas of the country, certain cities banned it from the theaters altogether.
I would not have expected that.
Mm-hmm. Just depending on their city regulations, they would not allow that movie to be shown. And so this movie, of course, hindered a lot of the sales of the Ouija boards because, if it was possible for a kid to just be playing with an so-called innocent game and all of a sudden become possessed by a demonic spirit, like it could happen to anyone.
Yeah, and why would you buy something like that if there's that chance?
Especially if you are religious. And I think that also plays a role in the movie. I mean, we see the priest and, all these religious symbols in it. And I think they just kind of tie hand in hand with the fear of the Ouija board. And so this would change the way that people see the Ouija board. And I think that's why we have that notion of playing a Ouija board equals bad things possibly coming into your house if you play it at home. That's why at the beginning of the episode, I mentioned that, they say that you're not supposed to play at home. So you don't want to taint your house or whatnot. Now, the thing with the Ouija board is whether you believe that it works or not, right? If we were to play here, I wouldn't be scared of any spirits lingering around or whatnot.
I would, depending on what they do.
I just don't think that it's meant to be like that. I mean, we've had people write books using the Ouija board, and that's going to be what we're going to be talking about next. The way that the Ouija board works is by everybody that is playing, they have to all place their hand on the planchette.
Oh.
That teardrop or triangle shape thing.
The thing that you move to tell you what the letters are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you're playing it, you can't lift your hand off of it. And I think the thing that is very interesting about the planchette is the fact that everybody is touching it, or, whoever's playing it, right? So if it moves, how do you know if somebody else didn't move it?
Yeah. Like someone could just be messing with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Somebody could be messing with you. Somebody could be claiming to be a medium and could be moving it and giving you the answers so that, you fall for their tricks. That's why I said that it's very easy for someone to use the Ouija board in order to fool people, in order to take advantage of people.
I could definitely see how easy it is.
However, I found something very, very interesting in an article. Of course, I'm looking for articles all the time. Well, this is in psychologytoday.com. We're going to be linking this, of course, for you if you want to take a look at the article. I think it is very interesting. It's a very short one. It is by Scott G. Eberly. And what he explains in this article is something called the ideomotor action, or movement without awareness. Basically, it's saying that the Ouija board can tap into your subconscious.
What does that mean?
Basically, it means that you could be moving the Ouija or the planchette without realizing that you're moving it.
So, like, your mind's not registering that your hand is moving it?
Right.
Oh.
Kind of like if you are very nervous and you're tapping your foot or tapping your finger, or you're really fidgety. You don't realize that you're moving, but you are. And this could be happening when you are playing the Ouija board. This is how those people that have claimed to have written poems or books using the Ouija board have done so.
That's impressive.
To be able to tap into your subconscious, that part of your brain that you don't realize it, is there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's extremely interesting. I started off the episode talking about an anecdote of my childhood. The very first time I saw and encountered a Ouija board, and it was very scary for sure.
I can imagine.
But I think the most interesting part and the most amazing part about a Ouija board is that it can show you stuff that is lying in your subconscious. So things that you might not realize. It's almost a form of therapy, in my opinion, because you're revealing stuff about yourself that you don't even realize.
That is kind of cool now that I think about it.
I think it would be really interesting to just play on your own and see what happens. Maybe like record and close your eyes and just let it move. I don't know.
Do you think it would work like that?
I'm not sure. I mean, there was another time that I encountered a Ouija board, and that was a few years ago, actually, with a friend of mine. It didn't work. So, we were both really disappointed. We had candles, lit up and we were ready to play the Ouija board. I think we were at my previous house. So definitely I haven't played the Ouija board in this house. But in my previous house, yes, I played it with my friend. Shout out to her if she's watching. She went out and bought the Ouija board. I think it was like at a Walmart. And, she got to my house and she opened it up and it was, first of all, it was made out of plastic. Or no, it was a cardboard.
Oh.
It was a cardboard Ouija board. And the planchette was plastic. And the see-through part lit up. So you had to put batteries in it, which at first I was like, oh, cool. You get to put batteries in it. It must mean that it's going to be moving, right? No, it is just for the light. So, I mean, it didn't work. It was very disappointing. And I think she ended up taking it back, returning it or something.
How much did you guys pay for that?
I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, we were both really disappointed. I want to find one that's, more authentic looking.
Like with actual wood? Mm-hmm. And an actual planchette?
I think it'd be really interesting to play and see if I can tap into my subconscious and answer some questions for myself. Or maybe I can write a book.
Maybe. I think we could definitely find one somewhere.
So even Alice Cooper got his name from a Ouija board.
Really? I had no idea.
I know. Some of the things that I found out about the Ouija board are really interesting, but I think the most interesting part is the one about the ideomotor action. To me, that was the most amazing part about all of this. I know that I started off the episode with an anecdote of my childhood, and we talked about my grandpa's house. Well, what I didn't mention was that right behind where I was sitting at the top of the stairs when all the kids were playing with the Ouija board, well, the neighbors behind where we were, they had a huge walnut tree. And I think that when I felt that tapping on the top of my head, I think honestly it might have just been a walnut.
The walnut just fell on your head?
I think so.
Wow, what are the chances of that?
I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you for sure. Like, I saw the walnut fall, but I mean, I definitely felt it. And yes, I was super scared and ran to my mom. I mean, I didn't tell on the other kids, but I think that the more realistic thing about the Ouija board is what I mentioned about the subconscious and being able to just move the planchette without realizing that you're moving it.
Yeah, it's a really interesting concept.
Yeah. And so how does all of that tie into modern day paranormal equipment? I think that it all ties together because the ideomotor action can also explain the way that dowsing rods work.
I think I've heard of those, but I don't really know much about them.
It's rods that are like L-shaped.
Yeah.
And then you hold on to one on one hand and one on the other. And you're supposed to keep them like parallel. And then when they cross, it's supposed to tell you like where there's like a spirit or whatever. I think originally they were used to tell where to find water. So you're like walking around in whatever field and you're holding these rods. And if they cross, that's where you're supposed to be like digging for water or something like that. But I'm not really too sure about that. But I do know that in paranormal investigations and things like that, the dowsing rods, when they cross, it's supposed to mean like that there's something there.
Oh, I actually didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. But I think it's also, it can be explained through the the ideomotor action as well, or similarly.
That makes sense.
And then we have other paranormal equipment, such as like spirit boxes and EMF sensors. Have you heard of all of that?
I think I might have heard them, maybe in movies or something like that.
Or shows.
Or shows, yeah.
Yeah, I think they're more prominent in shows. I mean, we've seen them in movies such as what's the one with the Ed and Lorraine?
Oh, that was The Conjuring.
Yeah, where they set up all the equipment and they have like the thermal sensors, right?
I think they had the same thing in Insidious as well.
Oh, okay. And then they also always have the EMF sensors,
Yeah.
right? Like, so it shows you if there's a change in the electromagnetic force, it's supposed to signal something. Well, yeah, it's supposed to signal that there's bad wiring or something like that, right?
Yeah.
To me, that's what makes most sense. And with spirit boxes, I mean, I guess you can turn any old radio into a spirit box because it just changes frequencies every second or whatever. And then you ask questions to it. And, you know, depending on the different radio frequencies, it's going to pick up different sounds. So it might sound like static, but sometimes you get words out of it. And to me, I think it's just kind of, if you're looking for something, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
Type of thing. I don't think that there's much more to that. Also, like I said, the EMF sensors, I think that it's telling you that there's like some bad wiring, or even like just different parts of our planet have different magnetic fields, right? So I don't really understand like how that could mean that there's a spirit there. But I mean, I don't usually say that I'm a skeptic. I mean, maybe now our listeners or viewers might think that I'm more of a skeptic than you are.
It's possible. I honestly think all that equipment that they use for all that is very impressive.
I think it is interesting how certain shows will use a lot of these like equipment and say that it's super high tech and whatnot. But if you think about it, how boring is it going to be if they don't find anything?
That's very true.
And how many episodes do these shows have? I mean, I'm not going to call them out, but, you know, like I'm sure you're familiar with some of them, but yeah, like what kind of a show would it be if they didn't find anything?
Probably not much of one. You got a point there.
And so, yeah, that just leads me to think, what are the coincidences that every single time that they go to this like so-called haunted place, you know, they find stuff, right? I think it's, in my opinion, I think it's too much of a coincidence. And I think if they didn't plan something out, if they didn't just have it ready, they wouldn't have a show. It wouldn't be entertaining. Nobody's going to watch something that nothing happens in, right? So I'm, in a sense, in those instances, I am very skeptical. But I have had a lot of experiences that kind of make me be more of a believer, I think.
Yeah, I haven't really had very many. I just had a couple.
But you're more of a believer.
Yeah, but I just go off of what experiences I had.
They're that impressive, huh?
I thought they were pretty impressive.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it just leaves me with this conclusion of everything that we say in all of our episodes so far is continue to challenge the information that's given to you, right? Don't be satisfied with people telling you one thing or another. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions. deduce your own things, right?
Yeah.
Don't be, I'm never satisfied with any information I'm given. That kind of concludes our episode.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we would always like to hear, as always, what are your thoughts?
I'm curious, how many of you are skeptics and how many are you believers? Or do you find yourself in my situation where I'm not a skeptic? Like, I don't say that I am, but I do kind of question a lot of things, right? And I think a lot of people might say that I am a skeptic.
And also let us know, have you used a Ouija board? Do you have any weird experiences with it?
Yeah, any stories out there, please let us know.
We definitely love getting those kind of stories.
But I really hope that you learned something new about the Ouija boards, and also like continue to explore more about things that are like interesting and not talked about very often, right?
Yeah. Well, and as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell if you want to see more of our videos.
And don't forget
To always look beyond what you see.
see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.